Ladies and gentlemen, strength does not begin in your arms. It begins in your mind. The most dangerous weapon on this planet is not a gun, not a sword, not even an army. The most dangerous weapon is a mind so strong, so unshakable, that it bends reality to its will. Most people drift. Their thoughts wander like leaves in the wind. But the man or woman who dares to discipline thought becomes a force of nature. If you do not control your mind will control you, and when it controls you, it will drag you down to the level of the weak, the lazy, the average. Refuse that fate. Command your mind like a general commands his army. What separates the weak from the powerful is deftness of purpose. Know what you want. Burn it into your soul. When the world tells you it's impossible, your mind will whisper, "Watch me." A strong mind does not ask permission. It does not negotiate with fear. It declares, "This is the way," and the world follows. But strength is not noise. Strength is mastery. When you master your emotions, when you channel anger into drive, when you turn pain into power, when you silence doubt with unbreakable belief, then your mind becomes untouchable. Imagination is the architect of reality. See it in your mind first, build it in silence, and then unleash it so powerfully that the world has no choice but to bow. Every empire, every invention, every revolution began in the furnace of one relentless imagination and persistence. Persistence is the test. The weak quit at the first wall. The strong break the wall or climb over it, no matter how long it takes. Remember this, the world does not fear your first step, it fears your refusal to stop. Guard your associations. A powerful mind does not dine with mediocrity. Surround yourself with those who sharpen your steel, not those who dull your edge. Above all, have the courage to stand alone. A strong mind does not crave approval. It intimidates because it shines a light too bright for the timid. People fear what they cannot control, and they cannot control a mind forged in fire. Build your mind until it becomes your greatest weapon. Build it until fear bows before you. Build it until your silence commands respect. Build it so strong that it scares people. The power of a dominant mind is the greatest force any human can possess. A strong body may impress, wealth may attract, and status may command temporary attention, but nothing matches the terrifying strength of a mind that cannot be broken, cannot be swayed, and cannot be controlled by anyone but its master. When your mind is dominant, you no longer chase opportunity. Opportunity bends to you. You no longer seek approval. Approval becomes irrelevant. You no longer fear obstacles. Obstacles fear you. The world bows, not because you ask, but because your presence demands it. That is the power of a dominant mind. Look around you. The weak live by permission. They wait for someone to give them a chance. They wait for society to tell them what to do. They wait for validation before they move. But a dominant mind does not wait. It decides. It commands. It acts with certainty, with clarity, with the burning intensity of someone who knows exactly where they are going. That certainty alone makes others uneasy. It unsettles them because it is rare, because it is powerful, because it is the one thing they cannot fake. Your greatest battle in life is not with others. It is with yourself. It is the war between the part of you that settles for weakness and the part of you that hungers for greatness. The average man loses this battle daily, surrendering to distraction, to comfort, to fear. But the man with a dominant mind does not negotiate with weakness. He destroys it. He disciplines his thoughts like a soldier drills his body. He cuts away doubt. He silences fear. He refuses to allow the voice of failure to gain ground. And through that daily victory, he becomes a giant. Understand this, your mind will serve you or enslave you. If you do not dominate it, it will dominate you. And when your own mind is your enemy, you cannot win in life. But when your mind becomes your fiercest ally, nothing outside of you has the power to defeat you. A dominant mind is not swayed by moods. It is not broken by pain. It is not destroyed by setbacks. It grows stronger in the face of resistance. The storm that destroys others becomes its training ground. The rejection that crushes others becomes its fuel. The criticism that paralyzes others becomes its sharpening stone. People fear what they cannot control. That is why a dominant mind scares people. They cannot manipulate it, they cannot predict it, and they cannot weaken it. It walks into a room and changes the atmosphere without saying a word. It faces resistance and responds with calm authority. It faces fear and answers with unshakable faith. That kind of mental strength terrifies the insecure, unsettles the lazy, and commands respect from the powerful. But to build a mind that dominant, you must pay the price. You must master control of your thoughts. You must starve the habits of distraction that keep you weak. You must refuse to let anger control you. Refuse to let doubt whisper louder than your vision. Refuse to let temporary emotions dictate permanent decisions. A dominant mind is forged in discipline, in focus, in persistence when everyone else has quit. It is built by those who hold on to purpose like a man drowning holds on to air. The man with a dominant mind does not scatter his energy in 100 directions. He locks onto a single purpose and drives toward it with relentless focus. He imagines it, he believes it, he sees it as real long before the world sees it, and he refuses to let go until it is achieved. His vision is so clear it feels inevitable, so strong that others either follow or fall away. And that definiteness of purpose makes him unstoppable. But a dominant mind is not arrogance, it is not noise, it is not ego. True mental strength does not need to shout. It does not need to prove itself. Its silence speaks louder than the loudest voice. Its consistency speaks louder than any boast. Its results speak louder than any promise. That is why it frightens people, because it does not depend on their recognition to exist. It is self-sufficient, self-driven, self-commanding. Ask yourself today, do you command your mind or does it command you? Do you lead your thoughts or do your thoughts lead you? Every time you let distraction win, every time you surrender to fear, every time you abandon your vision for comfort, you weaken your mind. But every time you choose focus over chaos, discipline over weakness, persistence over surrender, you forge a piece of dominance within yourself. Over time, that dominance compounds until nothing can break you. Build a mind so strong that it cannot be enslaved by doubt, cannot be broken by fear, cannot be distracted by noise. Build a mind so strong that it does not just survive the storm, it becomes the storm. Build a mind so strong that the world recognizes your presence before you speak. Build a mind so strong that people whisper about your certainty, your clarity, your unshakable faith. Build a mind so strong it scares people. Control of thought is the foundation of all power. If you do not rule your own mind, you will be ruled by everything outside of it. If you do not master what flows through your head, then the world, society, fear, doubt, and the opinions of the weak will hijack your destiny. A man who cannot control his thoughts is a man enslaved, even if he looks free. But the one who seizes command over his mind becomes untouchable, unstoppable, and dangerous in the eyes of the world. Every action you take, every word you speak, every success or failure in your life begins first as a thought. The undisciplined allow random, weak, fearful thoughts to dictate their future. They live on autopilot, reacting instead of creating, drifting instead of directing. But those who rise above the ordinary do so by chaining their minds to discipline, by refusing to let a single thought slip by unchecked, by choosing deliberately what they allow to take root in the soil of their mind. For the mind is a garden, and thoughts are the seeds. Plant weeds, and weeds will take over. Plant greatness, and greatness will grow. Most people underestimate the force of their own thinking. They say, it's just a thought. But there is no such thing as just a thought. A thought, repeated and believed, becomes a habit. A habit, repeated, becomes character, and character decides destiny. That is why you must watch every thought like a guard watches a gate, because the moment you lower your guard, the enemy of fear will creep in. Doubt will slip through. Laziness will find a seat. And when they enter your mind, they will not leave willingly. You will have to drive them out with force, with persistence, with absolute command. Control of thought begins with awareness. The masses live blind. They do not even notice what their mind is doing. They let television, social media, gossip, and the opinions of others program their thinking. And then they wonder why they lack vision, why they lack courage, why they lack the fire to build the life they want. The truth is simple. What you feed your mind will grow. Garbage in, garbage out. Power in, power out. You must take responsibility for what you consume, for what you allow to enter the sacred space of your mind. Controlled mind is not one that avoids difficulty. It is one that commands difficulty. When fear arises, the controlled mind does not surrender. It recognizes fear, it studies fear, and then it commands the body to act anyway. When doubt whispers, "You cannot," the controlled mind shouts back, "I will." When failure strikes, the controlled mind refuses to interpret it as defeat. It interprets it as feedback, as sharpening, as preparation. The uncontrolled mind collapses under pressure. The controlled mind thrives under it. Understand this truth. The difference between a slave and a master is thought. A slave is one whose mind is mastered by outside forces: fear, distraction, weakness, the manipulation of others. A master is one who controls thought so completely that no outside force can shake him. He can stand alone, he can face storms, he can endure loss because his mind is unshaken. He rules his inner kingdom and therefore he rules his outer world. Thought control is not about positive thinking for the sake of comfort. It is about disciplined thinking for the sake of power. Comfort thinking says, everything will be fine while sitting still. Dominant thinking says, everything will bend to my will while taking action with fire. Control of thought means refusing to entertain weakness, refusing to allow self-pity, refusing to dwell on limitation. It means replacing those thoughts instantly with visions of strength, strategy, and victory. It means holding a mental picture so clear, so definite, so vivid that your actions naturally align with it, and your reality eventually bends to it. The world belongs to those who can control their mind in the chaos. Anyone can think clearly when life is easy, but the one who remains calm and directed when storms rage, when failure strikes, when enemies attack, that one holds true power. That one has mastered himself. And he who masters himself cannot be mastered by anything else. So ask yourself, are you the master of your mind, or is your mind the master of you? Do you control your thoughts, or do your thoughts control you? Every moment you indulge in distraction, every moment you entertain fear, every moment you repeat weakness in your head, you give your mind away to the enemy. But every moment you command your thoughts to focus, to believe, to act, to persist, you forge steel within your mind, and that steel, once forged, cannot be bent. Control of thought is not a one-time decision. It is a daily battle. Every morning you must rise and take command again. Every night you must review the battlefield of your mind and eliminate the weeds that tried to grow. This is the discipline of the strong. And through this discipline, the mind becomes so sharp, so focused, so unshakable, that nothing can defeat it. Build this control. Guard it with your life. For when you have mastered thought, you have mastered destiny. And when you have mastered destiny, you will stand where others fall. You will rise where others break. You will win where others surrender. Control your mind, and you control your world. Definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all greatness. Without it, life drifts. Without it, energy scatters. Without it, talent is wasted. A man without purpose is like a ship without a rudder, tossed by every wave, lost in every storm. But the man with a clear, burning purpose becomes a force of nature. He cannot be stopped because he knows where he is going. He cannot be broken because his vision holds him together. He cannot be ignored because his focus is unshakable. That is the power of definiteness of purpose. The average person drifts through life reacting to circumstances, chasing whatever looks appealing in the moment, and abandoning one goal for another, the first sign of struggle. They spend their years busy, but not directed. They move, but they do not advance. They talk, but they do not build. Their energy leaks in every direction, and at the end of life they wonder why they never achieved anything worth remembering. It is not lack of intelligence. It is not lack of opportunity. It is lack of purpose. Purpose is the compass of achievement. It directs thought, focuses action, and gives power to persistence. A definite purpose pulls you forward when motivation dies. It keeps you alive in the deserts of defeat. It lights a fire in your soul that no storm can extinguish. When you know exactly what you want and you refuse to settle for anything less, your life becomes charged with a force the drifting man can never understand. Definiteness of purpose does not mean vague wishes. It does not mean I want success or I want happiness. Those are empty words with no shape, no fire, no demand. Purpose must be sharp, clear, exact. This is what I will do. This is what I will become. This is the mountain I will climb. This is the victory I will claim. And once declared, it must become an obsession, not an interest, not a hobby, not a half-hearted wish. An obsession so deep that your mind, your energy, your habits, and your entire being revolve around it. Do not mistake noise for direction. Many people chase 10 different dreams at once, only to achieve none. They start, they stop, they quit, they restart, but never with clarity. The man with definiteness of purpose chooses one, and he locks onto it with iron discipline. He cuts away distractions. He says no to opportunities that do not align with his vision. He guards his time as if it were gold, because he knows every ounce of energy must serve the purpose or be discarded. There is power in saying, this is who I am. This is what I will do. Nothing else matters. The world respects clarity. The world bows to focus. People may doubt you at first. They may mock your obsession. They may not understand why you sacrifice comfort, but eventually they will stand in awe when your purpose manifests into reality. Understand this. Obstacles are guaranteed. Struggle is certain. But a man with definiteness of purpose does not quit when doors close. He does not retreat when the path grows dark. He knocks down doors. He cuts new paths. He refuses to let failure be the end, because his vision is not a suggestion. It is a demand. A man with no purpose falls at the first blow. A man with purpose grows stronger with each strike, because he knows he is being sharpened for the victory ahead. Definiteness of purpose creates magnetism. It draws resources, allies, and opportunities that the drifting man will never see. People are drawn to clarity. They follow leaders who know exactly what they want and where they are going. When your purpose is definite and your faith is unshakable, you become a beacon. The right people will recognize it and align with it. The wrong people will fall away. Both are necessary. But here is the truth. Purpose alone is not enough. It must be backed by action. The world does not respect intention. It respects execution. Purpose without action is a dream. Purpose with relentless action is destiny. Every day you must take steps toward your vision, even when small, even when unseen, even when the results are not immediate. Each step compounds. Each step builds momentum. And one day, the world will see what you saw long before it existed. Definiteness of purpose requires courage, because it will often place you against the current of society. The crowd does not like clarity. The crowd lives in drifting comfort. The moment you declare, this is my path, and I will walk it alone if necessary, you will separate yourself from the masses. But that separation is the price of greatness. Weak men chase approval, strong men chase purpose. So ask yourself, what is your purpose? Not tomorrow, not someday. Now, what is the one thing you will build? The one mountain you will climb? The one mission so important that you will sacrifice sleep, comfort, and ease to achieve it? Decide, declare, commit. Let nothing pull you away for the moment you choose. Definiteness of purpose. Your life will no longer drift. Your steps will align. Your actions will sharpen. Your vision will guide you like a star in the darkest night. Definiteness of purpose is the difference between the forgotten and the legendary, between the weak and the unbreakable, between the lost and the unstoppable. Choose it, build it, live it, and never let it go. For when your purpose is definite, your victory is inevitable. He who cannot master his emotions will forever be mastered by life. Anger will own him, fear will chain him, doubt will silence him, and desire will enslave him. But the one who takes control, who disciplines his emotions instead of being ruled by them, becomes a king among men. Self-mastery over emotion is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength, for it means you control the very forces that control the world. Most men are puppets, their strings pulled by whatever emotion rises in the moment. One insult and they lose their temper. One failure and they drown in despair. One fear and they retreat. One temptation and they surrender. They move not by choice, but by reaction. But the rare individual who chooses his response, who commands his emotional state, who turns fire into fuel and pain into power, that individual becomes unstoppable. Understand this truth: emotions are powerful servants, but brutal masters. Anger, when uncontrolled, destroys families, careers, reputations, and futures. But anger, when mastered, becomes fuel, a fire that drives you to break barriers and prove the world wrong. Fear, when uncontrolled, paralyzes, chains you to mediocrity, and kills dreams before they breathe. But fear, when mastered, sharpens focus, heightens awareness, and keeps you alert and prepared. Even pain, the enemy of most, can be converted by a master into resilience so great that nothing can break him. The difference lies in control. Self-mastery does not mean suppressing emotion, it means directing it. The uncontrolled man pushes emotions down, pretending they do not exist, until they explode and destroy him. The master does not deny anger, fear, or sadness. He harnesses them. He grabs hold of the wild horse of emotion, puts a bridle on it, and rides it to victory. That is true power. Think of history's giants, the builders, the conquerors, the leaders who bent the course of nations. They felt the same emotions you do. They knew fear, they knew doubt, they knew pain. But they refused to be ruled by them. They bent emotion to their will. When fear whispered, they acted anyway. When anger burned, they directed it into strategy. When despair tried to drag them down, they turned it into fuel for persistence. Their victories were not born of luck, they were born of mastery. The world tests you daily. Insults, failures, temptations, distractions, all designed to see if you will react like the masses or respond like the few. Lose control of your emotions, and you give your enemies the weapon they need to defeat you. Keep control, and you disarm them. The man who can be provoked is weak. The man who cannot be provoked is dangerous. Nothing is more intimidating than a man who remains calm under pressure, who responds with clarity in chaos, who walks through fire without panic. That man terrifies the weak, unsettles the proud, and earns the respect of the strong. But self-mastery requires discipline. You must train your emotions like a warrior trains his body. You must study your triggers, notice your reactions, and refuse to let them control you. When anger rises, pause. When fear whispers, stand firm. When sadness weighs heavy, move forward anyway. Each time you win a small battle over emotion, you grow stronger. Each time you surrender, you grow weaker. Mastery is built over time through awareness, discipline, and persistence. Do not mistake mastery for coldness. The master does not become emotionless, he becomes purposeful. His joy is deeper because it is not fragile. His love is stronger because it is not desperate. His courage is real because it is not the absence of fear but the conquest of it. The uncontrolled feel emotions like storms that toss them about. The master feels the same storms but sails through them with unshakable direction. Ask yourself, what controls you? Do you lash out when anger stirs? Do you retreat when fear strikes? Do you quit when frustration mounts? If so, your life is not your own. You are a prisoner of emotion. But when you learn to command emotion, to stand in the middle of chaos and decide, I will not be moved, you reclaim your freedom. A man who masters himself can master anything. For the battlefield of life is not outside, it is inside. Conquer within, and no obstacle without can defeat you. Fail within, and even the smallest obstacle will destroy you. That is why self-mastery over emotion is the highest victory. So build yourself. Watch your emotions like a hawk. Do not react. Respond. Do not collapse. Command. Train your mind to stay calm when others panic, to stay sharp when others are clouded, to stay focused when others are distracted. The one who rules himself rules the world. Control your emotions, or they will control you. Master yourself, and nothing outside of you can master you. Walk with discipline, speak with clarity, act with strength, and let your emotions serve your vision instead of sabotaging it. For when you achieve self-mastery over emotion, you will carry a power so rare, so unshakable, that the world itself will have no choice but to respect it. Imagination is not child's play. Imagination is the sharpest weapon a human being can wield. Every empire, every invention, every revolution that changed the world was first born in the unseen, in the mind of someone who dared to imagine. Before the skyscraper touched the sky, it stood in the architect's mind. Before the airplane conquered the clouds, it lived in the imagination of dreamers. Before freedom was won, it existed in the visions of those who refused to bow. Nothing exists in reality that did not first exist in thought. That is why imagination is not weakness. It is power. It is the battlefield where futures are designed, where worlds are built, where victory is first secured. Most people abuse imagination. They use it to picture fear, to multiply worry, to rehearse failure in their heads until it paralyzes them. They weaponize imagination against themselves. They turn it into chains, into prisons, into nightmares. But the one who learns to control imagination, to direct it with precision, to feed it with courage instead of fear, becomes unstoppable. Because when the mind creates with fire, the body has no choice but to follow. Understand this, reality bends to imagination. The world you see is not fixed, it is malleable. It changes under the force of vision. Greatness is not born by chance, it is engineered first in the unseen. You will never rise higher than the pictures you allow your mind to hold. If you see yourself as weak, you will act weak. If you imagine defeat, you will walk toward it. But if you dare to imagine victory so clearly that you feel it before it exists, if you build the image of power, of success, of triumph in your mind and refuse to release it, reality will eventually submit. Imagination is not escape. It is strategy. It is the weapon that allows you to create plans others cannot see, to build bridges where others see walls, to move mountains while others stare at them helpless. The man who imagines has already won before the battle begins because he sees the end result, he feels it, he believes it, and that certainty radiates through his actions. The enemy of imagination is limitation. The masses limit themselves by only believing what their eyes can see. The masters create what eyes cannot yet see. That is why they build empires while others settle for scraps. Think of the greatest innovators. They did not wait for permission. They did not ask if it was possible. They imagined it first, and then they made the world catch up. The Wright brothers imagined flying while others laughed. Edison imagined light while others stumbled in darkness. Leaders imagined freedom while others submitted to chains. These men were not dreamers in the weak sense of the word. They were warriors of imagination. They turned their inner pictures into outer reality with persistence, discipline, and faith. But imagination must be guarded. If you feed it poison, it will create poison. If you feed it fear, it will multiply fear. If you feed it doubt, it will show you endless ways to fail. You must feed your imagination with vision, with bold ideas, with relentless belief. You must rehearse victory in your mind until it becomes more real than the obstacles in front of you. Because once your imagination is convinced, your body, your habits, your actions will follow. A man with no imagination is a slave to what already exists. He sees only what is, never what could be. He accepts the world as given instead of reshaping it. He is bound by the walls around him, chained by the limits others have set. But the man who dares to imagine breaks those chains. He creates doors where none exist. He turns walls into pathways. He dares to build what the world says is impossible, and because he believes it first, eventually the world believes it too. Imagination is not luxury. It is survival. The warrior imagines victory before he fights, and that vision fuels his courage. The builder imagines the city before he lays the first stone, and that vision guides his hands. The leader imagines freedom before he speaks, and that vision inspires his people. Without imagination, courage dies. Without imagination, persistence fades. Without imagination, life becomes a cage. But with imagination, life becomes a battlefield you can dominate. Because no matter how strong the enemy, how dark the night, how heavy the chains, imagination whispers, there is a way. And once the mind sees the way, the body finds the strength to follow. So I ask you, how do you use your imagination? Do you use it to picture failure, to rehearse fear, to chain yourself to weakness? Or do you wield it like a sword, carving visions so powerful that the world cannot resist them? The choice is yours. Imagination is always working, but only the master directs it. Train your imagination, guard it, sharpen it daily. See yourself as victorious, as powerful, as unbreakable long before the world acknowledges it. Build the vision so strong in your mind that reality has no option but to obey. For imagination is not fantasy. It is creation. It is the weapon of the strong. It is the birthplace of every empire. It is the first step of every revolution. Use it with power. Use it with faith. Use it until your vision becomes so clear that no one, nothing, no obstacle can take it from you. Because when imagination is mastered, it becomes the deadliest weapon you will ever hold. Persistence until victory is the mark of the unstoppable. Talent may give you a start, opportunity may open a door, luck may grant you a moment, but only persistence carries you across the finish line. Nothing great has ever been achieved without the stubborn, unrelenting will to keep moving forward when everything says stop. The weak quit when it hurts, the average quit when it takes too long, but the strong persist until victory is won, no matter the cost, no matter the time, no matter the obstacles. That is the spirit that breaks records, builds empires, and creates legacies. Everywhere you look, people start strong and end weak. They begin with fire, but when the wind blows, they let it die. They speak of dreams, but the first failure silences them. They announce their goals, but when the path gets steep, they turn back. They do not understand that victory does not belong to the one who starts the fastest, but to the one who refuses to stop. Persistence is the difference between a dream that fades and a destiny that becomes reality. The world will test you. It will throw obstacles in your way, not once, but over and over again. It will knock you down to see if you have the courage to rise again. It will delay your progress to test whether you are serious or only curious. And most will fail these tests because they expect victory to come quickly, cheaply, easily. But nothing worth having comes without a fight. Nothing worth building comes without sacrifice. Victory belongs only to the man who stays in the fight long after others have surrendered. Persistence is not glamorous. It is the daily grind, the repetition, the lonely hours when no one is watching, the countless failures that the world never sees. It is getting back up when you have no strength left. It is holding the line when your body screams for relief. It is walking forward in the dark with nothing but faith to guide you. It is not always loud, but it is always powerful. And in the end, persistence speaks louder than talent, louder than opportunity, louder than all excuses. Every success story is written in persistence. The inventor who fails 1,000 times before creating the light. The warrior who loses battle after battle but still wins the war. The builder who works in silence for years before the world suddenly calls him an overnight success. The truth is simple. Persistence is the path. There is no shortcut. There is no alternative. Either you persist until victory or you surrender to defeat. But persistence is not blind stubbornness. It is focused determination.